And good day, everybody. I'm John Presapio, joined along as always with Brian Sarnelli, Pat Lavin working the board. How are you guys today?
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking Mets baseball, wow. I mean, you're just gonna go right into your excessive soundboard right away. But
Well, we have some breaking news.
oh, then why even ask me how I am?
Well, we have some breaking news. It's
So,
breaking,
so
Brian.
I can't tell you how I am. You asked me a
How are
question
you?
just to hit
How
me
are you?
with a sound.
How are you doing? It was too long-winded of an answer. How are you? Good or bad?
Low. Just
All
go
right.
on. Move on. I'm depressed. It's every week though.
All right. Well, less than 24 hours of the Blue Jays accusing Aaron Judge of cheating, which we'll get into that in just a second. Some breaking news. Domingo German, throwing a perfect game through 3 innings, has just been ejected for a foreign substance check while on the mound in Toronto. We're not sure yet if this was an umpire-initiated inspection or if this was requested by Blue Jays manager John Schneider. We know Schneider has been barking back, at the Yankees quite a bit recently, but the umpires obviously, now mind you, this is the same umpiring crew that checked Herman's hands that last go around when there was controversy. They let him stay in the game. Tonight, after gathering and consulting with each other, they have thrown Domingo German out of the game.
You throw that perfect game sentence around a little too early. 3 innings. You're like, oh, he was in the middle
Well,
of a perfect game. He went through
because
the
here's
order
why.
once.
Here's why, and I'll be perfectly frank with you, and call me a homer, call me whatever it is you want to call me after this, but the Blue Jays are coming off absolutely pathetic. The Toronto Blue Jays just absolutely reek of a team who is desperate at this point. Last night they accused Judge of cheating. Their broadcasters accuse Aaron Judge of
Yeah,
cheating.
and that's you said that on the open, and I think that's something that you really need to, straighten out a little bit. The Blue Jays themselves did not say Aaron Judge cheated. The
No, but
broadcasting team did.
John Schneider didn't do anything to help that, though.
No, he
But
didn't do it any
yes.
justice, but like the initial accusation was not done through the Blue Jays.
So let's recap everything that's happened in case you're living under a rock. You don't know what's going on. Um, Last night on Monday evening, the Yankees opened the set with Toronto, a 4-game series in Toronto. And Aaron Judge, he had 2 home runs last evening. Now, it was on that second home run that the Toronto broadcast, Dan Shulman and Buck Martinez, right? Now, Dan Shulman, this is a guy who's been around the game for quite a bit. He was the former ESPN Sunday Night Baseball voice from, I believe, 2007 to 17. It were actually longer than that because John Miller was still doing it after then. Well, maybe 2010 to 2017. But he'd been around and he was doing the Tuesday night games well before that. And Buck Martinez, who's been broadcasting just as long, if not longer, they noticed that Aaron Judge in his at-bat looked up the first baseline in the middle of the at-bat right before the pitch was thrown. Obviously, something out of the ordinary for a hitter, and including Aaron Judge. It's something he'd never seen before. And
Yeah, and I wanted to pause there. Have you ever seen anything like that? I thought
not
it
to that
because
degree.
because listen, I know everybody and their mother probably wants me to be like Yankees cheated, but I'm gonna play this down the middle. I really am. I'm gonna play both sides here. I'm gonna probably accuse the Yankees a little bit. I'm gonna defend the Yankees a little bit here. The first thing I'm gonna call a spade on all of this stuff. I have never seen a glance like that in a game before. And then the fact that it happened multiple
Not to that
times,
degree, no.
not to that degree before, and to see it happen multiple times, like if it was a hard look, you'd be like, oh, he's looking at something here, like, and I'm not really sure what, but they were like those quick glances that were really, sticking out to me.
Yeah. So he looks at first. Now, we actually have the audio. Let's play just a little bit of what was said, what transpired. We're gonna play you just a little bit of this.
A long hold
Listen.
here by Jackson. And it's 2-2. All right, Buck. So you and I looked at each other at the same moment right when we saw this 3 pitches ago.
Watch what he's looking at.
Yeah. What is that?
Where's he looking?
Where's he looking? And he did it more than once.
Yeah. It's really, really unusual. But you and I both looked at each other when we
Yeah.
saw that.
Like, did you see what I saw?
Yeah.
And you don't want to go, throwing allegations around without knowing, but
No. And you know what? Yeah, I have had guys look back when I was catching, and you obviously could see it, and he couldn't see the catcher with the way he was looking right there.
yeah, just did it again. And he pummeled it. He hit it a country mile for his second home run of the night.
Okay. So my main takeaway from this, right? Dan Schulman. Again, guy been around the game for a while. He hosted, he was a play-by-play commentator for Sunday Night Baseball, national broadcast. I think that's a terrible job by Schulman and Buck Martinez. To say, essentially, not to insinuate anything here, but when you say that, you're accusing someone. You can't just, it's like the classic, not to be mean, but, well, something mean is usually always said after that. For example, that's just an example. You have to be better than that. Now, Dan Schulman, again, he's been around the game, to my delight, he left Sunday Night Baseball because, in my opinion, he's one of the worst Sunday Night Baseball commentators I've ever heard. And maybe he's at a point in his career now where he just doesn't care about integrity. Maybe that's it. He's happy with his little Toronto gig. He's given up ESPN radio calls as well now too this season. And he's focusing on college basketball. Maybe he's also just said, I don't care about my integrity as a broadcaster anymore. Because that's pretty damning as a broadcaster with no facts.
I get the frustration as a Yankee fan, and obviously this is your guy and he's under attack, and I would feel the same level of defensiveness if this is one of our guys, if this was like Pete Alonso in this situation. But we're focusing heavy on the broadcast booth, right? And the integrity of the broadcast booth. And, there was that like one little, I'll play devil's advocate. There was that like one little line where he's like, I've seen guys like look back at like the catcher before. Like there was that one line where it was like trying to downplay the glance where it was like, I don't want to do
Brian,
this.
Even that's Bush League. If you're looking down at a catcher giving signs or his location, that's a no-no. Guys, that no one respects that. And you're going to get hit if you're doing that. And that wasn't what Aaron Judge was doing. Now, the actuality of the fact, now after the game, Judge said that, guys were barking from the dugout because Boone had just got ejected. And while, that story, I guess, somewhat lines up in the time frame of things, no one's going to say, hey, the guy was tipping pitches, we had his signs. And that's what was going on, in my opinion. He was tipping his pitches. The Yankees had the signs. And if you look, the catcher's setting up a good 10 seconds before the pitch is delivered in the location of where it's going to go. And not only that, but if you look at his right knee, he gets down on one knee every time he's going to throw a slider. So there you go right there. He's tipping his pitches. That is fair game. And that is universally respected across the sport as fair game. If you are doing something like that, you have every right. You have every right to relay that to the hitter, as long as it's done in a way that's not including, technology or anything like we saw with the Houston Astros. And that's not what the Yankees were doing. That was gamesmanship. And that's going to be a word you hear a hell of a lot of now for a little while. Gamesmanship. And that's what the Yankees demonstrated. So now to say, looking down at the catcher, that's, to me, that's even a ridiculous statement to make. I don't know what your opinion. Do you agree?
I feel like I'm focused on a completely different thing right now. I understand. I should have seen this side and this take coming, and I'm not saying that it's blindsiding me, but I guess I'm just more focused on wanting to go step by step through it and talking through it. And I want you to try to do your absolute best to say this is a different team. This isn't the Yankees in this situation. This is just the situation. And I mean, the situation at a glance looks suspicious. I think it looks suspicious.
Why does it look suspicious? What in your opinion makes this look suspicious?
anything that you see that's out of the norm, and we already both agreed at the top of the show that when you have a glance like that, it's not something that you normally see. So immediately it's out of the norm. It's something different.
Sure.
So anything different, and different doesn't mean bad, but it was different. So it makes everyone be like, well, I haven't seen that before. So now you're kind of watching it differently. And the broadcast booth is obviously a Blue Jay broadcast booth. So they're going to side with the home team. And they're pointing out the difference in a negative way. Well, you as a Yankee fan, you're going to look at the difference and be like, all right, whatever, like nothing big here. Like he looked down at the line, he looked at the dugout, who gives a shit? And I agree. Like, I think if that was my team, I'd be like, who gives a shit? All he did was look off to the side. But to say it happened twice in the game, and at both at bats, he hit a home run, and then he did it right before.
No. They don't have it on that first at bat. They don't.
Didn't they comment on it though? Isn't the audio say they saw him do it earlier in the game?
They saw him do it earlier in the at bat. That at bat. That same
at bat. Okay,
then same at bat against that same pitcher.
Okay, then I want to make sure I have my stuff straight. So I apologize for that. But okay, so then they noticed that he did it in that at bat multiple times. He does it, and then right after he does it, he hits a massive home run. Now, Judge hitting a home run is not something that's out of the norm. Judge is on fire right now, especially. So, like, you have to play into fact. This is one of the best hitters in baseball who is red hot, who hits a fucking massive home run off a shitty hanging slider. And mind you, the guy threw him like 5 fucking sliders in a row. So, like, for him to have been like, oh, here's a fucking another one of the same pitch I've now seen 5 times in a row, and it's fucking flat and right down the middle. Him parking it into the upper deck in the Rogers Center, not surprising at all. Not surprising at all, and not out of the norm. I just think I think the announcers talking about it, pointing it out, being like, what is he looking at? He keeps doing it. He's done it multiple times in this at bat. Next thing, home run. It made people immediately just go, there's something here. There's something afoot. There's something cheating. And I don't know how you feel about this.
Well, I'm going to stop you, though, because I disagree, because that's not what they did. If they just said, what is he looking at, and leave it at that, different story. And in fact, Michael Kay, Yankees play-by-play broadcaster, he came out today and said, now listen, if that was me, I would have said, what is he looking at, and left it at that. Exactly that, right? And then let the audience draw their own conclusions. Let the audience investigate, do whatever they need to do. But that's not what they did, Brian. Not to insinuate anything or whatever.
Yeah, I agree. When you say not to insinuate, you are insinuating.
You're insinuating.
I 1,000% agree. They're doing the opposite of what they're trying to accomplish. Oh man, I'm going to be honest. My initial take is, John, I don't think there's anything afoot here. I don't think there's any cheating. I don't think there's anything bad. You have the opportunity for somebody to attack the Yankees. And I will tell you this. If this was done, it was Aaron Judge, and you could attack them all you want. If this was the Houston Astros, same exact response, probably bigger. And the Yankee fans would have blown this bigger than what it is right now.
Well, they have a history. Correct.
And I don't want to go down this road. I don't, but there's a little bit of a history.
No,
there's a little bit. There's not a big book of history, but there's a pamphlet on Yankee cheating facts. And it's not cheating. They maneuvered the rules in a way. I get it. I'm not saying the Yankees are cheaters. I really don't think the Yankees are cheaters. I'm not trying to start that with you. But also, if we're trying to be like, this is a pristine and clean organization who has never been accused of cheating in any capacity, we could call a spade and say that's not true.
Well, I think the Yankees have had their share of problems to the same extent of just about any other major league team, but it's the Yankees. So it might be
a click more than your standard major league team.
Through what scandal? I mean, what? You have Michael Pineda with the pine tar. No one else has ever gotten ejected for pine tar use before.
No, I don't. I'm not going pine tar. I mean, we have that weird sign sealing thing.
The
lot of steroids use.
Okay, and every
I agree.
Single club has a guy with steroids.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Every single club.
I think it's just highlighted more on the Yankees than other clubs.
And the steroid thing, listen, if you want to come at the Yankees, that's just foolish, because the steroid era was allowed by Bud Selig. That was his mess. Selig created the mess that was the steroid epidemic. Now, the Yankees, they had some guys on there, sure, but no more than anyone else. And you can smile. You can smile and laugh at me all you want.
I'm chuckling a little bit. But
no, it's just because it's the Yankees, and everyone loves to jump on the Yankees. And to your point,
and I'm not fully jumping. I'm not jumping. You've been beat up by everyone else right now over this. I am trying not to jump, but I'm trying to be fair and down the middle with how the rest of baseball is looking at this.
But here's where I'm getting aggravated now. And this plays now into the German situation that's happening right now. And again, we're still waiting some more information to figure out what exactly transpired with German. Schneider was out of the dugout while this check was going on and gave a thumbs up to the crew after he was indeed ejected. And he went back in the dugout. So I don't know if this was an ass check by Schneider, but he's been the biggest crybaby over the past 24 hours. Now, let me start off by saying this. Your team was tipping pitches. The Yankees, they found out what your tip was, and they were relaying that to the hitters, and you got beat. But instead of taking ownership of that, because they were blind that they were tipping pitches, the way they found out that they were tipping pitches is their own damn broadcast booth had to ask some questions because Aaron Judge made it pretty damn obvious looking down the first baseline what was coming. Now, no one's going to say after the fact, yeah, they were tipping pitches. That'd be foolish. You want to keep that advantage going into the next night. But
someone told me when DJ LeMahieu blows a bubble in the dugout, that means it's a breaking ball. Can you confirm?
Yeah.
You can confirm? Pat, you got that audio file?
Let me tell you. But this Schneider, man, he can't take accountability about his team tipping pitches. So he's got to come out, and he's late to his press conference last night speaking to the media. He's got to watch all this, and he's got to give, very cryptic answers to everything without accusing, but accusing. Then all of a sudden he's got an issue with where the Yankees base coaches are standing. Say, we need to make sure everyone's competing fair and on the same playing field.
I agree. That's a bitch like opinion to have. And I know that's not like a really smart analytical opinion of my own, but like, it's just a bitch opinion. Who gives a fuck with a third base or first base coach?
There are 60 fucking base coaches in Major League Baseball, and I would bet you not a single goddamn one stands in that box. No one stands in that box. But now all of a sudden Schneider's got a problem with where the base coaches are standing, basically, again, insinuating that this was some big scheme and that the base coaches are somewhere in on it, right? So then what happens today? In the game, I believe second inning, after Judge grounds out, he gets out. He might not have grounded out in that at bat, but he gets out. And then Schneider starts barking at Luis Rojas, the Yankees third base coach.
Former Mets manager.
Now Yankees great. Barking, good third base coach. He is a good third base coach. I'll give you that. But anyway, he's barking at him, telling him he's got to get in his box. The umpires have to intervene in the whole thing. Give me a friggin' break. And then an inning after that, all of a sudden German has his, hands checked and whatever. This is getting ridiculous now with this guy. You would never know that they lead the Yankees in the division. Barely hanging on, mind you. Barely hanging on. But this guy, he's acting like a child. John Schneider's not long for Major League Baseball. I got news for you. He's not a good manager. So when the Blue Jays eventually have their collapse, which they annually do, maybe we'll see his ass out the door. And I will tell you what, I will welcome that day when he is fired. Because this guy is a child, an absolute child. And the Toronto Blue Jays, I don't know what world they live in, but they have the biggest little brother syndrome I have ever seen in this past 24 hours. It's like a Little League game. It feels like a Little League game with the just immaturity from one side only. And there you go. There's a home run for Kiner Falefa, 3-0 Yankees. Stick it to these sons of bitches. This is a game you got to win if you're the Yankees. You had your starting pitcher ejected. You have your captain last night with that nonsense. You got to go out there and you got to win this game now. They're on a good start. Now you got to hold it. You lost your starting pitcher. So the Yankees bullpen that's been terrible has to do a good job.
God, I'd give anything in my wallet for Clay Holmes to lose this game.
Oh,
I give everything. I give every dollar I have for Clay Holmes to let go
Let
walk
me
off.
tell you, you better hope we're not on the air if that happens. Oh,
No, I hope we're not, because we'll be here for hours and hours and hours. Let me ask you one. I'm almost dreading this, but let me ask you one last thing on this topic.
yeah.
And I already have a feeling of the direction you're going to go. You've been very ride or die, defend your team, hold the shield in front of them. I get it.
I'll hold them accountable if they do wrong, but they haven't done anything wrong. And now this German thing, listen, we're getting to a point now. If this is rosin, if this is again just rosin, again, this is my point about Scherzer too. Something needs to be done. When even the legal substances now you have people being ejected for.
You questioned Scherzer and you thought like maybe he was cheating his whole career. You went very south off of that ejection.
I had an issue with the alcohol and him swearing on his children. And if you play it back, that's what you'll hear. I was uncomfortable with that.
So do you think that before, let me just go step by step. Now you're derailing me again. I didn't even get to my actual question, but the step by step on this, just yes or no here is, do you think Max Scherzer's career is legit?
I think he's done.
No,
I think he's old.
Do you think everything he did was legit, or do you think he cheated his whole career?
No, I have no reason to believe he cheated his whole career.
Do you think German is a cheater?
I don't know. I don't know. Now listen, just off of his reaction following this, and the players coming up to him in the dugout and feeling his hands, he doesn't look like someone who's guilty. I'll say that. He doesn't look like someone who just, got caught messing up and got their penalty, getting sent to his room.
But maybe he is guilty and just dumb. Maybe he's dumb. Why do we discount the fact that he's just an idiot?
I think Michael Pineda was dumb. I truly listen.
How do you let this happen again with the same umpire?
Because if it's rosin, if it is indeed rosin, I would have the same reaction.
Don't fucking use it against these umps. They're out to get you.
But why? Why should he not use a legal substance, Brian? Why should he not use a legal substance?
I don't know.
Answer right, exactly. Why? There's no reason. There's none.
It really beats me. I don't know. I mean, they're out to get him, so stay in the game. Fuck it. I don't know. Talk about it later.
Fucking Schneider is, that's for sure.